author of the book Miracles in Minutes, and I just did a video on relationship health. And you're thinking like, why are you talking about all this relationship health, and what does it have to do with physical health, and you're a chiropractor and blah blah blah? And well, you have to understand how the body works, and my studies led me deep into the neuroscience, into the brain, and also into the body, and how to help people who have like chronic headaches or chronic lower back pain, sciatica, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and behavioral issues. I just can't seem to get my shit together, Dr. Wood. What's going on? So this video is more along the physical side of some theories of what's occurring in the body, of what's happening in pain. And pain just indicates that you're not functioning well and you need to change. You need to give up some ways of thinking and think a new way. And that's typically what it means. Or you change your lifestyle, like I'm eating unhealthy, or maybe I'm in an unhealthy relationship, or maybe I'm not healthy within myself and I need to change how I think and feel about me. So this is more, like I said, along the lines of the physical aspect, which correlates with my book Miracles in Minutes, and help you understand some concepts. So I'm going to share with you a book that I looked at. It's called Traumatic Releasing Exercises. It's How to Deal, a Revolutionary Method for Stress and Trauma Recovery by David Berceli, who's spoken at the UN and goes into war-torn areas and helps people deal with post-traumatic stress disorder. And he gives them these physical exercises. And it's a pretty good book, has some decent methods. So let's just cover, first of all, a little bit about the brain and not get you guys confused. And I'm going to pull it up here real close, that you have three different brains that I've talked about it before. The croc brain, which is your autonomic nervous system, that's your breathing. It's your digestion. If you're a female, it's what causes your period to happen every month, or you reach menopause, and guys to reach, puberty, and all that's occurring in the autonomic nervous system. It's not, you don't have to think to make your heart beat. And then you have the midbrain, and you're talking about your limbic, your mammalian brain. You have emotions, you have feelings, the terrible twos, the child's midbrain's coming more on the line. And then the last brain is the neocortex, where you have logic or reasoning, or the ancients would call it wisdom. Okay? Now, so what happens is there's something about the human experience, and one of the books I liked is Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements. So the first one is integrity. Say what you mean and mean what you say. And one of the books that I'm studying right now is the 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, and said, guess which one is the biggest thing? Is integrity. You say what you mean and mean what you say. You say you're going to be here at 3 o'clock? Freaking show up at 3 o'clock. Because if not, you're not lying to yourself, and you start doubting yourself, and it actually destroys your self-esteem and destroys your confidence. Every person I've ever worked with that's helped get them out of a jam psychologically, I usually clean up their integrity first. Show up! You told me you're going to be here. Show up. I'm here. You're not. And I have a problem with it because you're not honoring your word. So when you honor your word, I call it you respect yourself. Okay? So integrity is very important. Now, where am I going with all this stuff? So part of it is when you say that to yourself, your own conscience keeps score and knows that you're full of shit. So you doubt yourself. If you doubt your own self, how can you move forward with courage and strength to believe in yourself? You can't even keep your promises to yourself, keeping your word. So the second rule in Don Miguel Ruiz's book, The Four Agreements, is the hard one, is to not take anything personally. So what happens is when something happens in life, we tend to still have that child aspect of our mind. I wonder what this means about me. Why do they say that about me? I can't believe they did this to me. To me, which is internalizing what happens in the outside world and take it personally, and that causes emotions. And those emotions you can call almost like a form of post-traumatic stress disorder, or it's claws at you, and instead of releasing them, what we tend to do is we internalize them and suppress them. So where does it go in the body? So it's part of it now you need to feel like I need to defend myself. Why'd you say I'm defending myself? Why'd you say that to me? So you become defensive, or you become very aggressive. I'll attack you first. That's a form of defending yourself, is being very aggressive and assertive. Like not assertive, but aggressive. Okay. So what happens to this energy in the body? So it's the amygdala, it's the fight or flight response. You have high adrenaline. You wired in there that it's almost like you have a hairline trigger. If someone says this, you just go, you upset me, I'm offended. That's your trigger right there. And that's the problem that's going to, it could cause problems with relationships and all the political correctness that's going around, which is bullshit. Which you don't realize that what someone's doing is they actually have an issue that they need to deal with of that's not true about you. So you have a self-esteem issue. Instead you personalize it, and then you fire it into your amygdala, and then you have, see what wisdom is. I'm going to show you this other page here. So let's go up here. So an adult, when something happens and there's reflection, you think about it, you consider it, you take a deep breath, and then you respond. A child a croc brain is action reaction. I hit you, you hit me. Are you going to do this to me? I'll do this back to you. Blah, blah, blah. And the Bible even talks about that. An eye for an eye really doesn't work. Two wrongs don't make a right. In actuality, you're in a very primitive part of your brain, and it's really going to mess up you, and it's going to mess up your relationships, and it'll mess up your life. Even though it feels good to act out revenge, or it feels good to tell people to F off and get out of my life, that may not be the most healthy response psychologically. We're not covering that in this video tonight. We're just going to cover what happens in a physical aspect to your body. So your body gets charged up, okay? So what gets charged up? It's a fight or flight response. And I can't believe I said that. Now, some of your massage therapists, some chiropractors, and talk about that, what are the muscles of fight or flight? And it's called like the psoas. And you guys probably don't know anatomy like I do, but so if you look at someone's abdomen, like gut you, pull all your abdominal contents out, look back at your spine, you have a muscle that runs from here like this at 45-degree angle to the left hip, and the muscle runs here like this, 45-degree angles to your right hip. You may call them your hip flexors. You have 2 in your torso, 3 in your lower extremity. Don't worry about that part. But I want to talk about the psoas. The psoas is a pelvic stabilizer, and also it's a hip mover. So the morphology of the muscles is interesting. When they dissect the muscle, is it designed to turn on and off, or is it designed to stay on? The psoas actually has both. So it's a pelvic stabilizer, which buckets and keeps your lower back in place. So a lot of people have chronic lower back pain. Your psoas could be super activated. So when you're fight or flight, your hips, doesn't it make sense that you drive your hip up? Your psoas becomes activated to get you out of it. So what happens is you internalize and personalize, and you drive that energy into your psoas, and you get tight hip flexors. How many people in this country have their hips replaced, have have their knees replaced? That's the 3 lower hip flexors in the front of the thigh. And so what happens is they're always charged. They're just always turned on. And when the psoas is on, it actually pulls the femur into the front of the cup, and you start to grind it off over time, or you get an impingement syndrome. That's how I check it orthopedically in my office. But that's so what, Dr. Wood, that's news. But how could that affect me psychologically? Well, your system's turned on, it's amped up, it's ready to go. And if you stay hairline triggered, what? You say something? You can't be amped up all the time. You're not in a relaxed state. So Berceli goes into certain exercises that you can do in this book to down-regulate the sympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic is up, and parasympathetic is rest and digest and relax. So yesterday I did a little bit of a video on the vagus nerve and heart rate variability. Heart rate variability measures how well your sympathetic and parasympathetic are playing together. And if your sympathetic's overcharged, your parasympathetics can't keep up. And what happens is you're going to wind up with health issues. They find people who have the highest vagal nerve tone are very happy people. They're very content and they feel good about life. The vagus nerve just makes you feel so comfortable inside. So part of it is I looked at different exercises to get the psoas to relax, and a lot of the stretches that people do not accomplish that mission. Sometimes you need to do some deep breathing activity or some specific glute exercises, hamstring exercises. Your hamstring, there's something in neurology called reciprocal inhibition. So when I flex my bicep, my tricep turns off. Okay, when you flex your hamstring, it actually deactivates the psoas. Okay, so if you can do certain hamstring exercise with good pelvic position, you can actually down regulate the psoas to some degree, and the psoas actually is an external hip rotator as well, and you can do some frog positions, and Berceli has this thing where you try to bring your legs up, and then all of a sudden your body just starts shaking. So what happens, if you're really afraid or animal's really afraid, what happens when the fear thing's over? Like, I'm just shaking all over, man. And what happens is when you're something scares you, your body charges up like, give me some juice. Like, I need to punch you. I need to run fast. Like, it's charged to do something, and you sit there. So where does all that energy go? And the body tries to shake off that energy to dispel that charge. But if you don't dispel the charge, you internalize it, personalize it, and it stays stuck in you, and that's a fight or flight response, and you froze, and now that can relate to health issues. And then you hot wired in there to habitually that every time this happens, I don't consider, I just do the same thing. That's not thinking. And so then the way the neurology works, nerves that fire together wire together, and now you become in that habit, and you're digging your own hole. And what happens is you keep bringing your consciousness out of it, so you don't think. Somebody says this, I just go off sometimes. I don't know why. It's because you're not thinking, and you're not even looking at the consequences to that behavior and what it's costing your life. And you never ask, why do I go off over this? What does it really mean? And it means you may be taking some things personally, or you have some self-esteem issues, and now you got some problems. So I always look at it as a cognitive issue, and also there's always some physical activity, because sometimes you can help someone relax doing some physical exercises, and that's what I do in my office, and that's what my book Miracles in Minutes is about, is how do I turn off a switch that's got you amped up? How do I get it to turn off to give you the space to actually find yourself and actually start getting your shit together? The book Miracles in Minutes is not about restoring a body. It's actually giving you windows of getting out of pain in less than 2 minutes to 30 seconds by doing an exercise. And you don't know what's going to work. I don't even know. I just have a big toolbox, and you don't even have to be that astute at exercise. You can just apply one of your exercises and ask, did that help me? Do I have less pain? Can I touch my toes? Can I move better? And if the answer is yes, then that's the exercise you pick. So the book Miracles in Minutes is actually to make life simple, and most people overthink what just happened, and they overanalyze, and you confuse the shit out of yourself, and then you're going around in circles. So I just wanted to cover a little bit about how trauma, PTSD, can actually formulate in the body into the psoas and maybe into the coracobrachialis, which cause your shoulders to jack up, and then you can't move your arms, because again, it's a fight or flight response. I haven't really hacked that stretch yet that does that. I do know that deep breathing makes a difference, and I do know certain frog stretches of allowing the hip flexor to release on its own without forcing it to, or using reciprocal inhibition by using the hamstring. You can get the psoas to turn off, and then there's the possibility of having it just kind of shake out. So if you want to check out something for yourself and explore something, you can look up traumatic relief exercises. I think the book was only like $15-20. Not a bad investment if it helps you out and get your hip flexors to release, or get you to be more at peace and get rid of some stress in your life. Why not? Dr. Wood, hope this helps you.